If it wasn't interesting, I would let you know. Right?
Cool, because
it would be obvious.
I have so many ideas in my head and I can't structure them. Like,
well, doesn't sound like that to me.
Okay, cool.
So, sounds all fine.
It just feels like they're all coming out now. Yeah.
Well, but that's the whole idea, right?
Yeah.
To just make it spontaneous,
impromptu, literally.
Yeah.
It couldn't be any more. Had no plans of what was going to be discussed.
Yeah. I was really surprised by you saying that England doesn't have a long-term structural plan, because I always felt, if one country would have something of a plan, it would be Great Britain.
Right.
Does that mean that what's it? Does the government is messing up, like big time?
It could mean a lot of things. Because
would that happen under I don't know, Thatcher? Would have happened? I
can't be sure, because even with this government paradigm, I was going to say that is a problem. You have, it's my opinion anyway, these what do you call them? Roles called government ministers. So you might be minister for education, minister for the legal system, minister for transport, and our prime minister does something called a reshuffle, or the prime minister role. And reshuffle just means you move in the economy minister to transport, the health minister to education, and I've met quite a lot of them.
Specifically, that's the intention?
And
or does it just happen?
There are many reasons for why it could happen. Why would they be? What would be the reasons?
No, but does a policy specifically state that an economy minister should be also afterwards some other minister?
This is down to the individual prime minister to do. They don't have to do it in a certain way. So the cynic in me thinks they do it in order to reward their friends and punish their enemies. So if our prime minister wanted to rush ahead with this Brexit, and she finds there's a minister in transport who, for argument's sake, is opposing her, she'll let them go and put someone in their place. And that happens all the time. And consequently, if that transport minister, not that we've had a decent one, because public transport is very expensive, trains are late, blah, blah, blah. But if they were doing something good in their role, that's now been lost because they've just been summarily...
You know what the funny thing is? Well, speaking of the cultural differences, for instance.
Right.
You saying about Great Britain, all the sort of either destructive or not well planned out aspects, right? You feel perfectly comfortable doing that, right? And I feel quite interested in it because I had no clue, right?
Okay.
I had a Chinese guy a couple of weeks ago here. He literally stopped the recording. I cannot talk about it.
Yeah.
And that at that point I was like, thank God I live in Latvia. Right?
Yeah.
See what I mean? Because he was really well. I just thought he was paranoid, but he's I cannot say that. You don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah.
So there might be a genuine fear then that there's.
Could you imagine if that would be the thing in Great Britain?
See,
that would be so funny.
It's kind of like that, but in a subtle way. Like I just told you with these promotions and demotions.
Yeah.
If a minister is speaking, like there's one, for example, and I give her respect. I think her name's called Anna Soubry. She's not a minister. She's just a member of parliament. Right. But she's very against Brexit, and she's speaking her mind. She doesn't care what the prime minister says. She doesn't care what the colleagues say.
Wasn't that one dude, the Euro Parliament dude, Nigel Farage?
See, well, he's...
that's a funny dude.
He's for Brexit, and he's still
but
publicly
he's speaking his
for
mind.
Brexit. Yeah, but no, I'm saying the problem with this Anna Soubry lady, not that there's a problem for her, but when you have members of the Prime Minister's own party speaking out against her every day, it can bring a government down, or it looks really bad. But the lady saying, you know what, the issues at stake for the nation are a lot bigger than whether I bring down the government, so I'm speaking my mind.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really happen. So even though, UK, you have freedom of speech.
Because they are cronies.
Well, yeah, so this is what I'm saying. So you might say, China doesn't, or North Korea, or blah, blah, blah. England has it in its own subtle way that you're not going to be thrown in jail.
Of course.
But I think there are networks there. I can't prove it to you, but I think there are networks. Things are
political
organised.
ties.
Yeah,
political ties.
Just people want to climb up that ladder or whatever. So I don't think that sort of China paradigm you gave me is an absolute. I think the UK is just a lot smarter in the way it manages the dissent.
We have some human rights over here.
Oh, I could disagree about that.
What?
I could.
All right, let me know. What?
Oh, man. Okay. I mean, I don't know how far they're going to go. Because, again, is the European Court of Human Rights impartial? Are any courts impartial? I don't know. But I've had to file applications there for human rights violations in the UK.
Well, that would be, I guess, normal that you have some rights violated. But then again, how big was the violation? That's the question.
Very serious.
Because almost no human right would be absolute, right? There are instances where you can actually.
Although, we might say that there's how do you call it? A concept of human rights over here.
Yeah.
Or even just using Latvia as an example, if Latvians would even be able to access the European Court, because that court's working languages are English and French, and there are Latvians who don't speak English and who probably more likely don't speak French. So although they have, as a citizen of a state that's a member of the Council of Europe, an access to the court, do they really have the access?
Well, I'm not a specialist in that area of law, but I would imagine that the official languages are all member nations.
They're all accepted. Like, they couldn't throw out your application because I'm Latvian, I'm writing to you in Latvian.
Nope.
That would be frowned upon. But to even prepare your application in the first place, for it to have a realistic prospect of success,
it's quite relative, wouldn't you say? Because the point of having the application is not that you really can sort of punish the government. It's just that to bring forward the situation in a sense that you feel that it's too much of an importance to let it go, right? Because usually the court process takes I don't know how many years.
Oh, forever. Right? But no, I'm saying let's stay with my point because I think it's an important one. So you're a Latvian and you don't speak English or French.
All right.
And if you speak English, that's not a good example. But I know there's some of you who don't. And you want access to the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah.
Are you at a disadvantage? And you
really.
don't have money. The working languages, I'll say it to you again, of this court are English and French, meaning most of the literature, because if any non-lawyer out there would try and access the court, it'd be a good idea to read.
Then I guess I can answer quite easily. If you mean that all by yourself, you would be by a disadvantage every time. You would still need legal advice.
Okay, legal advice notwithstanding, because I'm sure there are pretty clever Latvians out there who don't speak English or French. If they want to access this court and they, can read and write, but they just can't read and write in English and French, are they at a disadvantage if they want to access the European Court of Human Rights?
Yes, and that's why they can write in Latvian.
But rewind back a second.
Right.
Before you write that application in Latvian language, you'd need to be able to read the application form. What language is the application form in?
It should be translated to Latvian.
Maybe there's one in Latvian, or maybe not the application form alone, but just the court's literature. Okay, when the court makes decisions, because the what's the word? Case law. There's a concept called case law. If you're aware of what it is, the European court's heard loads and loads of cases before now, and it writes up its judgments. So if someone's alleging a human rights violation, it would be in their interest anyway to read about similar human rights violations that have gone before the court in the past.
Yeah.
If they ignore that,
judgments. Yeah.
Right, they could be affecting the prospects of success of the application.
Sure.
Those judgments are published in English and French. I mean, I'm saying that for a fact because I've read the judgments, and some of them are only.
Those judgments are
really long.
Most languages.
I can't find them. Maybe
you mean the European Court of Human Rights?
Yeah, I have to put it to the test. Well, maybe I've been inept until now. I can't find them in other languages. I mean, you can put them through Google Translate, but I don't think that's the same.
No, they translate
legal
them
documents.
In most.
As far as my experiences have been, I'm happy to be proven wrong. They've been in English and French, or even
Maybe.
Find me cases that have
case
been.
law.
I really want to be proven wrong because I've made applications.
Well, maybe I just think of the Court of Justice.
Okay, available only in what?
French.
And out your mouth?
French, English, Romanian. A lot of Romanian here. So
that might just be because Romania is having their day in court this week or last week.
So where is the language filter?
But this is my point. Sorry, I was hitting the microphone in my head. I mean, maybe you're going to a different page from what I am, but as it looks to me.
Oh, all right. So here are the filters. So let's just Latvian.
Okay.
Cases in Latvian. So yeah, well, I wouldn't be able to tell you how they choose to what to translate,
it will
but
be
yeah,
the language of
these
the
are
applicant. So they're Latvian applicants there.
Doesn't seem like it.
Why would they put it into Latvian then? That'd be very random. It must, in my opinion, anyway, it must be. Cases,
Let's just try.
Let's look at one and tell me. If
AK v Turkey.
So that's not a Latvian. I want to know who the.
No, nothing about Latvia. Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay.
So the what's it? The applicant is a Turkish citizen,
right.
Aka, and he's basically claiming against Turkey. So nothing Latvian.
Okay. And
well,
how many?
But I don't know.
Can you find me in Latvian language?
Ooh.
Go back to your filter.
I probably need the advanced search.
On the left.
No, I probably need this one.
On the left,
I know what you mean.
You used already.
I know what you mean, but I think this will make a
find
bigger.
It this way, so it's important we're clear on this.
Keywords.
So we just go in
Texts.
You should be able to find this for me in seconds. You shouldn't really have to be doing this.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, can we agree or not that if you?
Yeah, it's definitely not all. I mean.
But no, just in raw numbers. Look at that. Wait. Before we go, tell me how many.
English 18,000 and 17.
And French, how many?
18,000. Yeah.
And how many in Latvian?
17.
Romanian, for argument's sake, because it's a small country.
Almost 2,000.
Okay, so they have a fair few. So, but we're talking about Latvia.
Don't know the criteria.
So, if a Latvian's making an application to the European Court of Human Rights, are they at a disadvantage if they only have Latvian language?
Yeah,
right,
by default.
Because they can't read the case law. So, yeah, just coming full circle back to the Chinese guy, in a blatant way, he can say, I'm going to be at risk if I speak my mind. But a Latvian, if they speak their mind hypothetically, and they now have to file an application, and to prepare that application, they would want to read the court's previous judgments, they'll be screwed. And it doesn't even have to be because they're poor.
See, that's a procedural disadvantage, but still you have the option to actually do that claim.
Okay, so this court strikes out.
I guess that dude thought that he would be murked or something like that.
So I'm saying, this court strikes out over the overwhelming majority of cases as ill-founded or hopeless.
And actually the governments themselves filter them out as much as possible.
But they go to the court before they go to the government.
Well, it's a bit of a tricky system because I just one of my study.
Sure.
Well, what's it called when my course mate, a dude who was at the same course as I for legal studies.
Sure.
All right. So he went on to work at the Latvian office for the procedure for the European Court of Human Rights. And he told me that they actually at their stage, they already filter out, I don't know how many, but most of them. Oh yeah,
the overwhelming majority of them are thrown out.
Yeah, because once they find some procedural lack, either he didn't try to all domestic. Or something like that.
Yeah. That's I don't want to give a correct figure because I don't want to look like a fool, but I think it's even over 90%. But my point is, if this Latvian citizen who thinks their rights have been violated can't even access the court material in Latvian language, just on that point alone.
But you know what helps him? He has the I guess in English it would be the ombudsman.
Okay.
Is it the ombudsman?
Ombudsman, but for what? Ombudsman how?
For specifically human rights.
Is there?
Yeah, in Latvia.
I thought the European Court is that ombudsman, or you have one domestically as well.
Yeah, domestic ombudsman. So let's say you are a Latvian citizen,
Right.
you speak only Latvian,
Yeah.
you encountered some situation that you feel violated your human rights.
Yes.
You just describe that situation, write it to the ombudsman, and he will investigate further. And if he thinks, yeah, it did happen, he has the power to actually initiate procedures in, for instance, the constitutional court, and so on.
Do you think this Latvian, or do you know, this Latvian ombudsman has the same distance from Latvian government that the European Court does?
No,
independent.
He's close. Oh, well, you mean if he's neutral?
He's based here.
Do you mean if he's neutral?
Right.
Yeah, he's neutral. Pretty much.
I don't like that word because I don't really know what it means.
Well, because he has been the reason of a few controversies, meaning, oh, look at that, the ombudsman says this is not according to human rights or something like that. So, because he has the legal right to initiate legal procedures.
Sure.
So nobody really likes him, right? Because if he says that something is against some human rights or constitutional right, it means that some other government agencies have to work more or less.
I don't know. I mean, maybe in Latvia, then you are better in that you have these hard and fast separations. But in Britain,
I mean, I would imagine that it might be some
mean,
political inclination. But
when we're told the word
difficult.
impartiality, I can't be sure because judges have wives or husbands. They have school friends.
Every human being is some sense subjective.
Yeah, but in England, I just find it more blatant that they're all in one little club together. You know, so. If you're saying the Latvian system isn't
the British system just an old class system that hasn't got around to the 21st century?
They talk a lot about increasing diversity and balancing things out, but it's talk about it more than real.
Well, at least and ethnicity-wise, it's definitely diverse, isn't it?
I don't know. In the road sweeping areas, yeah, very diverse. Up the ladder,
but those are nice as well, right?
Road sweeping.
No, I mean those kind of neighborhoods. Because I always imagine the Britain is full of just those suburbs, just two-story high houses next to each other.
I don't know. That's if you've got money, then yeah, you live in suburban housing wherever you like, but otherwise. Your life chances are quite limited. Well, that's what I think. Do you think it's there's mobility there?
I'm just judging by the loads of Latvians who went there and say, well, we won't go back because it's too nice here. It's funny because many times when they come here back visiting, they just eat chips all day, and you can see the habit.
Oh wow! This is the reality.
And drinking cola.
If they've gone to England and they're earning good money, like really, really good money, then...
Look, it depends on what you call good money,
but this is where I had the inflection of my voice, good money. Then yeah, I don't think they'd be living the lifestyle.
I remember I had
the
conversation with an American, and he told me it was more than 5 years ago, and he told me it was somewhat along those lines that, well, if you have an income of less than around $30,000 in America per year, it's almost borderline, what's it called? Not poor, but
poverty line, maybe?
Some poverty line,
right.
Yeah, and I told him if I would have $30,000 a year in Latvia, I would be rich.
You probably would be. But no, I'm saying just from you telling me they're eating chips and drinking cola, it tells me they're just barely subsiding. So
because that's the life. You go there to work. You work for their standards, low-paying jobs. For our standards, it's high-paying job, right? And then they have a bit of time to spend for what's the plural? Leisure
time,
or
hobbies,
just,
whatever you want to call it.
So for that, and that's about it. And so it probably means most of the time just some warmed up pizza and telly.
I don't get why they'd leave Latvia for that. Latvia must have done them something really bad for them to have left.
Well, look, if you have some let's say £7 an hour jobs, it means that they can earn 3 times or 4 times as much they could in Latvia, right? And if you give them at least some minimum things, right, they might be even more that they could get here.
I mean, for 2 or 3 months and that's £7 an hour, there would be this sort of, I'm earning 3 times what I earned back at home. I get that. But going onwards, I mean, like I still have that friend, I just don't know where he is. Artur, this Latvian guy, he was a restaurant manager and he'd be earning substantially over the £7-8 an hour, and he'd have management perks that he did. So in that case, that Latvian guy, I'd see why he'd live in UK, because he's doing better off. But the guys who are just working from dawn till bedtime, and then the British media isn't too favourable towards Latvians or people.
Specifically Latvians?
Well, we have this paper, the Daily Mail.
All right.
And I never hear anything about Latvians in there unless he was a thief or he was doing some money fraud or some murder. Honestly,
some notoriety for Latvians.
Right. So if I only knew you guys through that paper, oh dear, So this is my point. So they're earning crap money. The media says they're claiming unemployment money. Maybe just Google Daily Mail in Latvia. Let's see what comes up. Read me a headline.
No, I could be wrong.
I'm curious because I retract what I've said if I'm wrong. But I've seen
Daily Mail.
Yeah. In Latvia. Let's see. But if this is just a regular.
Disabled pensioner 75 and his 46-year-old Latvian girlfriend are found dead in their 2-bedroom council bungalow in unexplained circumstances.
Another story. I want a juicy one. This one's too clean. I want to find one about a murderer or someone's been killed.
Homeless Poles and Latvian take Home Office to High Court to fight government decision to deport Europeans they find sleeping rough in UK.
Okay, but another story that doesn't involve someone being killed or
Latvian man killed. Okay. Explosion rumors of Latvia.
Or benefits. Maybe put benefits next to it. I want to see if that comes up with any
benefits.
Okay, first one.
All right. Latvian single mother with 10 children who claims £34,000 a year in benefits wins legal fight for a bigger council house.
And let's see the comments.
Are there any comments?
There'll be some.
Oh, all right. Totally unfair to us taxpayers. They would never help me, and I was born here, have a child and never not worked since 15. What happened to the benefit cap?
Meaning, I'll explain it in a minute. Next one sounds alright.
I hope she has had to give proof they are her own children. She may be getting money from relatives back home to look after their children in Britain. Life and all that. Why would she come here on her own with just half of her so-called family? My friend up the street who has 3 kids, both work, are in a 2-bed house. They are trying to get a larger home but don't qualify. No wonder people come to Britain completely stupid. Yeah,
right.
This one sums it up. Why not?
This is my point. I don't see that.
Nice welfare state you guys are running. Indeed, right. I would agree.
But I just think it sucks because the Latvians I know personally, they didn't do any of this benefit stuff or mafia stuff.
Look, if we had the chance to get some free money, I think you and I would do the.
I don't know, but no, I mean there would be Latvians like my friend I said who was the restaurant manager. There won't be neutral stories. I will tend to see those kinds of stories about them. So I'm saying, so they're on most times £7 an hour, which is you can barely subside on, just chips and cola. You have newspaper stories saying they're coming here stealing benefits,
which some do.
Some do. I'm not going to deny. No. Some do, definitely do. But why would they still live there, like in spite of that?
Because they earn more, or at least they feel that they have more.
Oh gosh.
More of a standard of living than over here, which might be true. It's not that I would like to make Latvia bad or anything, but when it comes to the economy, it must be
really bad.
But when it comes to the economy, yeah, man.
Okay.
That's sometimes chilling. And I had a Romanian dude over here, and he destroyed his country just just completely, which I didn't know. But yeah, he told me about Romania, and then woo, and then I had a Romanian chick, and she basically told the same.
See,
so, yeah,
there
it's not the worst over here, right?
Yeah, no, there I think, and it's coming from the actual Romanian government itself, where there's just corruption, lack of inspiration.
I guess I wouldn't even want to see a government that's not corrupt. I would just like to see a government that's corrupt in the proper places.
Right, but so, I mean, if you live somewhere like there, no disrespect, but then I can see why everyone would just be engaging in fraud or doing what they had to do.
Which Romania does.
Yeah, they just have to do what they have to do to get by, because that's all they can do.
I don't know. I mean, if you have access to the internet, I think you don't have any what's it called? Excuses.
Excuse?
Yeah, you don't have any excuses anymore.
Yeah, I just think you use these
you can
tools
be a
properly.
more quality person than your ancestors, simply because of the fact you have access to the wealth of knowledge,
information. Yeah,
if you choose not to engage in it,
my main way I've used the internet is I've learned in Russian. That's the main way I've used it over the past.
What's the point of you learning Russian?
Because I had bad experiences in England, and I thought
you have bad experiences in England.
Yeah,
so
really
that led you to learning Russian. What?
Yeah, because I just think life amongst all you guys is a lot better. So I thought if I've what's the word? If I learn one of the working languages, I could live in any of these countries.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Then, well, Poland would be the best.
Polish people don't speak Russian.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but why would you specifically target Russian?
Because
as a language.
Because of the Soviet Union.
Well, then, yeah, I would imagine Estonia.
Any of your countries.
Estonia.
I've not been to Estonia.
Nothing personal, yet. Latvians, but Estonia.
Well, I don't know, Estonia. I have Estonian friends. I could go there. But no, so the country I've visited more than any of the countries in this region would be Latvia, because I've not been to any of the others. So. And I don't have any problems here. Like, I had lots of racism in England.
I mean racism as in what's it called, those Jim Crow laws or something like that? What was it in America? Jim Crow's laws or something like that?
It was where's the most racist experience?
Well,
probably in my
primary
school, because this the earliest memories I have. I used to outperform my English classmates. So my teacher, in our class tests, so they would refuse to mark my work. They would call me stupid and illiterate. If I wanted to attempt more advanced exercises, they'd try and introduce them to my English classmates first, and if they couldn't understand them, then they said I wouldn't be able to understand them either.
And the teachers?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
They used to make fun of me because I was poor. So like I had a class.
The teachers or the children?
Teachers. The children were cool. They were cool. It was the teachers.
That's a funny system.
Yeah.
At least from my point of view, I guess not for yours.
Horrifying for me.
Well, don't take it seriously then.
This was for years.
But I mean, those are teachers, not some important people in your life.
They're meant to be people you look up to, which
but they're not. So go ahead.
Yeah. So, but it basically, my experiences were just like that the whole time. So, I've grew up in foster homes, under government, abuse, more racism. So for me, when I'm in that kind of an environment, and then I had the human rights, what I alleged are violations. I don't know, the European court struck out one of them, and I'm wondering if it was because it was just misfounded, or I don't know, unfounded, or I didn't fill in the application form properly. The second one, I'm still waiting for a result. But again, the cynic in me is, are they going to judge it on the quality of the application, or are they going to look at the fact that thousands of forms coming through their letterbox every day and they just need to get rid of 900 of them?
Yeah, might be.
I don't know. But I don't really want to wait around for that uncertainty anymore. I just say, I'm not white, I'm not wealthy, Just go and live somewhere else.
But dude, you live in the UK, one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
But I'm not wealthy, so...
Yeah, but you can become wealthy in the UK,
no,
right?
I can't.
Right.
Because the system's designed for only a few people to advance there. And I just have to accept it for what it is. So I explored the idea of going abroad. I don't...
But you know that it wouldn't be that wise to go from a wealthy nation to a poor nation just because.
So, because the Buckingham Palace...
You need a big reason to go to a poor nation.
Buckingham Palace is worth hundreds of millions, or the museum's got hundreds of millions worth of Egyptian pharaoh remains. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make me wealthy. Or...
It doesn't trickle down to you.
Oh, hell no, it doesn't trickle down. It doesn't trickle down to anybody. Because, like, for example, there was a period, this was America, but the same kind of paradigm. A lot of American corporations, Apple, were they around, Google? I don't know. But big American corporations kept their profits offshore. Because if they brought them home, the US corporate taxes are high, were high. Trump changed that. 35%. And they didn't want to get taxed. So they negotiated a deal with the government to drop the tax rate down so they could bring the money home. They promised to open up more factories, pay their workers more, blah, blah, blah. Brought the money home, or generally these situations, they bring the money in and then they just give a dividend to the shareholders and they give a bonus to the CEO and call it a day and keep the rest of the money in bank. So there's a trickle down in that.
But still, if it would be so harsh, people wouldn't work for them.
What's the alternatives? So
yeah, again, we come back to the. Do you have internet? Do you have a bit time on your hands? You don't have any excuses.
And
then.
This is why I use it to learn Russian, because I feel here.
It's just that you tell me you'll learn Russian. All right. What's the point? Well, maybe I would go to Russia. All right. And
or
then,
here, it doesn't matter.
And then, because Russia, I mean, not to say it like I know for sure, but I would imagine most of Russians don't want to live in Russia.
Some don't, but
because it's really, if you talk about corruption and not listening to its own people or something like that. See, I guess one of the best places in the world.
The corruption or anything in a system, as long as it's honest. As in, I can't find a Russian who doesn't think their politicians steal money or doesn't think their president is worth more money than all the other oligarchs put together. They'll tell me straight up. And I admire that in a person. But in England, there's a lot of fake behavior. I hate that. And that's all I've experienced there.
That's polite behavior going overboard, right? Because usually, if you would ask me, Germans, French, English people, Americans, you can say they are more, well, not cultured, but they are well behaved many times. They are polite. That's what I'm saying.
I find a society easier to live in when people are honest and things are straightforward. Even if
grass is green always on the other side,
even if
right?
people are corrupt or whatever, but I'm corrupt and what? Just be like that. But in England, it's like, there's human rights law and there's wealth and blah blah blah. All of these things you guys tell me, I'm like, doesn't do anything for me. Like,
I see what you mean. I see what you mean, and I understand that if it's too much, it's too much. But some of it is okay. The attitude that everybody is important, at least to listen to, and to actually engage.
See, that's a nice idea again. So you'd say they listen to. So the government right now are building or want to build a high-speed rail from London to the north, and I can show you plenty of opposition groups against it for many reasons. Some people think the digging machines are going to spoil the countryside. People who have property within a kilometer of the railway track, the house prices are going to fall because of the vibrations. So you can find a lot of people who don't want that land, that don't want that rail, but it's still going ahead. And they might spend, I think, even £1 billion. Imagine that, £1 billion before they've put a single spade in the ground, talking to people.
All right.
And they spoke to people and they listened, but
It's great for the economy, Ronald. It's great for the economy.
They, in my opinion, the government had wanted to do this from day one, but they did all of these talking with everyone just for the sake of it. They didn't change their decision. They still built the rail.
Yeah, but they at least ensured that they had some feedback.
But they had feedback for the sake of it.
Yeah, because that's what a democracy does, Ronald.
So why am I going to endorse this system just because they say...
Because it's the best you have in the world. Tell me one that's better. Well, maybe Iceland, but...
Latvia.
Look, to live in Latvia, yeah, it's definitely fine if you have some valuable matter between your ears. But if you are just a regular Joe, it's not that fun. Not that much of fun. I
don't know. Well, I've been here. I've lived there, and I'm not.
You've been to Riga most of the time.
It's right? The capital city. Yeah.
Yeah. And probably, yeah, that's the biggest difference between Riga is almost like a state by itself, right? Because more than half of the economy is here.
Oh, then it's similar to London then, because in the north of England, that's been abandoned. Mm-hmm. In the recent history anyway, there were activities like coal mining, shipbuilding, what else was there? Steel industry, and it's all got closed down by Thatcher. And then everyone there was either put on unemployment benefits.
It's just a weird...
just left. So
it's probably just a weird time in history because Latvia didn't have the old shackles of traditions. Because of the Soviet Union, we built all our infrastructure many times from nothing, right? Which means that, let's say, the information technology is quite up to date. So it's fine with that, right? Whereas in those Western European countries, you had some old companies to feed, and they didn't want to, get the innovations ahead of them, right? So yeah, because I remember I was in Germany in 2012, and they told me, well, only recently we have buses between cities, because before that the Deutsche Bahn had the monopoly between intercity travel
roads. Yeah,
and then I told him, well, I pity you, because I don't know any other way of having just buses, because our railway is quite limited, right? So, and it's state owned, so there's no real benefit for them to have any monopoly whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to sort of entertain your argument that things are better there, but not for me anyway, because I mean, I just feel I'm not white, I'm not wealthy, so I can't live there.
Isn't that more of an identity issue then? Because you could probably find me plenty of non-white people who have made a name for themselves by starting out in similar circumstances, right?
I've had too many obstacles put in front of me. I mean, like you say, if someone doesn't have the matter behind their ears and they just put themselves in catastrophe after catastrophe, then you could say, you've kind of made a mess. I didn't really have any control of my childhood life because I was in homes. So, I'm in someone else's hands. I had primary school teachers who behaved in the way in which they did to me, and it affected me, and it does make me think I need to move on. And I don't know how to explain it. But I mean, a part of me could say, would I feel happier if I was around black people, like if I lived in Africa or in the Caribbean? This is where my ancestry is from. But then no, because I lived around my own community in England, and that was probably even worse than living around white English people, if that makes sense. Oh, do I have to go into details?
Well, I don't see what would be the big difference.
It's just because, so with English people,
a cultural difference.
I felt like in the case of my primary school,
right?
The teachers told me as a threat to their kids advancing because I was ahead, so they needed to hold me back.
That sounds so funny.
It's a shame that I'm explaining it the way I have to, but that's the honest truth. then
maybe they meant that you are just too active.
No, I mean, I
because
was
of your
very active, but no,
hyperactivity.
just in terms of classroom grades, it was in dispute. I was moved up a year. I was in
Which
a
is
year,
good, right?
but then I got all the abuse about being stupid and illiterate. So I don't know. But then with my own community, you'd have thought we'd band together because we're in a common struggle. But they were very much the same. So like which example? Okay, I lived with an aunt and a cousin for a while, and this was when my grades at school were beginning to deteriorate. And then they took great pride in that. They said, "Oh, you thought you were better than us, and you're not. You're just like us."
And did they mean it?
They meant it. They were cheering. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you're failing school. Like, we're really like."
Oh, that's just sad.
But this is the kind of mentality.
Because you want your next of the next generation to do better, right?
Maybe amongst Latvian people, yeah, you do. But
well, that would be just logical. Oh yes.
Yeah. Not everyone's logical.
But doesn't it? Well, look, because I have a sort of a theory when it comes, but it's not about race and culture. It's about West and East, or old and new, in a sense, right? Because I don't know any old system. I haven't lived in an old system. I was born in the Soviet Union, then Latvia regained its freedom, and then it's almost a fresh start, right?
Yes.
But when I talked, let's say, with Germans, French people, maybe some British people, but not many, I always felt that they have a sense of they are almost caged in some sort of social circumstance which they cannot feel they can overcome, simply because the old system is pressing down on it so much that they only have a narrow tunnel to navigate in. And I was telling, dude, I can become here the president if I really wanted to, right? It's just that we don't have any of it. We don't have any old family dynasties or whatever. We just have, oh, look, we're free now. All right, who's off to the races with me? And that's about it. Right?
I can't be sure though. When I see Latvia, I do feel there's a pull from the east and a pull from the west at the same time.
By now, for sure. I mean, several ties have been established and maintained
on purpose. Like I know, like with your currency, when you abandoned it for the euro, like there are people who didn't want to because it was worth.
Because always there will be somebody.
But there's good reasons. It was worth more than a euro. Just like this.
Well, not really. It was directly linked or pegged.
It was pegged. But no, I'm saying if you went into a euro de change, it was a Latvian lat was a lot of money.
Yeah, but it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, if it's directly linked to
people would hold it as a store of value compared the Vietnamese currency, anyone could be a millionaire because it's just got so many zeros. But no, there were investors who held the lat because it was seen as a storage unit. It was stable. It wasn't going up and down like that. But my point is,
but it's not. But it's really not that well for wealth building. It's maybe for short-term wealth preservation. But
so I will come to the actual point I want to say is even the Latvians who had that reason for not wanting to let go, they said, if we join the euro, then Russia's less likely to occupy us again.
Well, if we make stronger ties with the West, then the East has less of a chance.
And I just feel it's sad because they're signing into this system I'm trying to get out of.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And they don't know what they're signing into, kind of thing.
Well, then again, do you feel that a system where you don't have the option to complain at the International Court of Human Rights, but a system where some dudes in unknown what's it called, unknown garments, right, can take you anywhere at the middle of the night if they please so, and can execute you if
this was only during Stalin. It wasn't like that all the time.
Well, look, the problem is nobody really knows for sure how long it was, right? I mean, my father went to the Democratic Republic of Germany, right?
Yes.
And it was in the 70s, and he still had to check in and out with what's it called?
The Minder.
Well, it was the secret police, state police, right? Because they wanted to. The same, I guess, for the Chinese dude. nowadays. Because as far as I understood, he has to declare where he's going, how long, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I see that. But
Right.
I mean, just on a fundamental level, irrespective of this European courts, people here, they see you first for your character. They don't care about your skin color or your money.
Nah, dude. When you ask me, it's just that a black dude is exotic. Still, in Latvia, a black dude is exotic. Same as with Asian people. But in
Okay.
Asian people, it becomes a bit less, simply because a lot of Asian people came here specifically to buy residence permits, because it allowed them to purchase a residence permit, and then they got into the EU.
The citizenship. Okay.
Yeah. But up until, I would say, 2012 or so, or
Right.
2013, every time you saw some other looking people, you almost went, "Oh, look at that!"
Yeah,
Right?
no,
Because it's so
I
rare.
experienced that in Lithuania. I went there in 2010, and like the whole street just stopped what they was doing to stare.
Because what's
And
the
it was-
reason? What's the reason why, let's say, a black dude, an Asian dude would come to Latvia?
Right, it's fully what was going through their mind.
It's totally
But-
illogical.
It wasn't even just here. It's with Ukrainians, with Belarusians, with Lithuanians. So I said them already. Estonians, even with Russians. They're like, we judge you for you, how you behave, not for your skin color. But I don't have in England. It's hard to explain, but I've had
guess
too many
so.
bad experiences there that only my skin color or being poor from a lower social class
But
will
it, but
explain.
it definitely seems that if you would be so a real nut on self-help books, you would even overcome those identity problems over there. I would imagine.
Know that.
Because it seems to me it's just a challenge. Even if the teacher says something stupid to you, it's just a challenge.
It
for
was
you.
social workers. Like,
Yeah, but a challenge. You know yourself that you're not stupid. So why would you listen to some?
I'm trapped. Like, if I'm there
You
and
feel
I
trapped,
could,
right? You
I
feel
was
trapped.
because where was I going? I was either in the school getting that, or I was in childhood, and I had abuse there as well. So, and I didn't have a passport because I remember no one applied for one, so I was trapped. But in my childhood, many times, I was thinking to myself, I wonder if I can sneak into a ship, because there's, you know, these boats going from UK to France or to Belgium. I had that thought a lot of times, or I can hide in a lorry. I never went anywhere with it because I just backed out of it. But then the fact is, I had those thoughts. I was like, I can't be here. I'm being persecuted for my characteristics, and I need to leave to escape this. you
Yeah,
know?
but where would you see a better place?
And this is what
Because no place is easy. Right?
This
It's
is what
just
was
that
confusing.
every place has their challenges.
Because I lived with my birth family, who were my mum's side Ugandan, my dad's side Jamaican. So, and they were a lot of the cause of my troubles as well. So I was like,
How can
I go?
a Jamaican be a cause for trouble? I wouldn't imagine that. A Jamaican.
How would I explain?
I thought
it?
they're all chilled people. Jamaican.
Maybe, I don't know. You see some like people chilling on the beach. Maybe
Just stereotyping all Jamaicans.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Drinking some rum, but no, like with my dad's family. My dad remarried. My mum broke up, and then he said, "I don't have to look after you anymore because I've got a new wife and she's got a baby in the way. So you're the state's problem now."
Wow.
Like, yeah, the UK has a welfare state. It has to take care of you. Then uncles agreed with him, family, friends agreed with him, and then he has this church as well where he preaches to people and he lays hands on the sick,
Damn.
and he drives the elderly to church. And
Don't get me wrong, but sounds badass. Sort of.
so my point is, it's like I can criticize the British system, and I do, but why can't I go back to my own country, even though I've never been to either before?
You mean what?
Jamaica or
Jamaica?
Uganda. So
Because they are not that wealthy as UK. Right?
not even money. Latvia's not wealthy. Didn't ever bother me for a second. Didn't bother me for a second. Well, I don't know why it should. Because if I'm materialist, exist, and I'm like, okay, let me go on the map.
No,
okay.
but you want to actually exist, meaning that you want to be able to clothe and live.
Yeah,
and
but
eat.
my fundamental hurdle I want to overcome is not to be discriminated against by my social class or my skin color.
I see what you mean. You've been hurt a lot of times, and then you think, well, if I just only change the jurisdiction, it should be better.
It hasn't been the problem.
You can make the improvements over there by yourself. At least little by little.
Be able to.
That's why I said you need some self-help books, man.
There's a system.
Use the internet forget the Russian.
There's a system there. There's a system in place there. And
I see what you mean.
The people at the top of it, whether it's.
But you need to learn from those outliers, who actually overcame the system.
But see, even if I think of an easiest, because my educational opportunities were destroyed by them, those teachers, but maybe as an athlete, if I could excel, that's probably one little pinky finger holding onto a ladder. I can now. I couldn't put myself through that again. Like if they said, "Oh, come and compete for us," I couldn't, because I knew what it was like when I.
Those are not the same people.
Yeah, they are the same people, because. As I said,
how many years have passed?
It's a mindset. It exists on that land. No. It doesn't.
You know what? I'll next time I have some British people who are white as a paper. Yeah. I'll ask them what you think of your racial or social policies and attitudes.
It's a policy written on those books in the parliament somewhere, and then is the day-to-day life, not the same. Like when these things happen to me, I complained to the local MP. And she shooed me out of her office. She wasn't interested.
Because she has lots of other things to do, right?
So someone who's a constituent, which as someone who lives under her geographical boundaries, whether you've got Grisling Hounds there or Umanta or Solitude, they're obliged to their constituents.
But then if you try to be in their shoes, maybe you would see, actually, in this position, I would still need to do this and that, and then.
So if some
Latvian
dude comes
child,
with some, I was a child when I went to them. I've been abused in your foster homes. I faced racial discrimination from your primary school teachers.
And she probably said, "Oh, that's all bad. That's all bad."
She just wasn't period interested. But the point is. What is the point I'm trying to make? I've lost it now, because you're saying I was. What would be more important than a child coming into your office to say they face discrimination?
More important that the child gets that the system is not many times in his favor, and actually that encourages him to actually change things around a bit.
And how does this child?
That's what I imagine in a movie. All right, that's not.
No. I can't accept that. Or how about when I complain to judges about abuse in foster homes and them not being interested?
I'm not sure if the judges have the legal capacity to do something about it.
They didn't have it directly. They could make inquiries into what's going on.
Yeah, maybe they're just not that
interested.
Yeah.
So,
what do you mean? That the people are not really thoughtful about their peers?
Or okay, I'll give you this. It sounds so crude. That tower that was burning actually was in the sports centre downstairs from it. I worked there, and I used to see it on the way to work every day. And then obviously it went up in flames. Did you see it in the news? This is a year ago.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, Google it. Grenfell Tower. Just we can. No, YouTube is probably better.
Grenfell?
Yeah. TOE, yeah, that one, first one. Let's see. So, yeah, the second, any of them. Second one, this one.
Wow, so half an hour.
It's
all right, it's just a building burning.
Council housing, social housing for low-income people in near central London. And people burnt alive in there.
Here's the thing. When you say a building for a central housing for
social housing, so the government has housing stock.
Yeah.
That is for maybe pensioners, elderly
We have the same
people.
here, but it's so few of them.
Yeah, it's the same. It's very few. But my specific point here is about the building regulations. If you build, high housing layer, I think it's 23 floors, you need fire extinguishers on every floor or some kind of a sprinkler from the ceiling, fire blankets to be given to every, what do you call it? Every resident. So if there's a fire on the hob, they cover it with the blanket and minimize it.
Yeah.
An actual fire safety officer knocking on people's doors just now and again to tell them. That all costs money. So because this was social housing, do you think the UK bothered to invest in it?
But could the residents themselves manage it?
Low income people, I don't know if we're having some kind of a...
Yeah, but that's not a problem for having somebody knocking on doors.
No. Okay, so what happened?
No. What I'm saying is this: if something doesn't work, well, look, maybe that's just, well, maybe that's the aspect we have from the past, is that if the system doesn't help you, look for ways to help yourself, right? And help others. By the way,
I'm maybe trivializing the issues that were at stake here. There were residents who were complaining to the local government about power surges through the electric sockets that was causing their electricals to explode. That could be a source of fire. Meaning
that the too much appliances were used at one time?
It could. There's a mixture. There's still what they call a public inquiry happening right now. But there was power surges coming through the wiring into the units, and it was causing people's stuff to explode. Like laptops exploded, phones, a fridge, which is allegedly what caused the whole building to set alight.
Yeah.
What else was an issue? There was gas piping going through the staircases, and it wasn't boxed in to keep it fireproof. Neighbours were complaining to local government to sort it out. Went ignored. You had. On the outside of a building, they were traditionally, cement or stone, but the local government laid something called cladding, which is just, in this case, it was a material that was combustible on the outside of the building. The residents never even asked for it to be put there. It was put there. And then one evening, a fire set out, I think on the 3rd floor, and then it went all the way up the building. So coming back to what you said about could people go and knock on the doors, people were trying, but the fire went so quickly, like even the fire brigade thought they had it under control, but then they just said to people, look, if you've got a loved one in there, just ring them and say goodbye, and that's all you can do. And then the Prime Minister, she came there the next morning, had a look, and then she just drove off again. And this is my opinion, but I think she went back to her residences, and then her PR people, because it's all about bloody PR, and then they told her what you did looks really bad, so that you kind of need to go there and say some words. And then she's like, yeah, I'm really sorry, blah blah blah, and blah 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 blah.
But it's not official that the PR people made her do it, right?
It's not official, but my point is she's like, yeah, blah blah, we'll have you rehoused by the end of the year or something like that.
Well, look, sounds to me that you have some major issues that could make anybody who's affected as quite of a cynic, right? But I know that type of situation.
I don't know, but what
cynicism is rampant in Latvia.
It's rampant everywhere.
But that's the thing. What
No,
do you do
my
about
point
it?
is if the British government is going around the world policing Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, or
really
complaining about Eastern European countries trafficking drugs or having. But this is my point. If they're going around the place saying there's human rights violations or whatever they're doing, because they do a lot of grandstanding, they need to think about what's actually going on in their own land, and they don't. So
maybe it's not on a grand scheme of things, not that of an issue, not so big of an issue. Maybe there are bigger issues.
Does there have to be like a purge of 20 million people for you to think something's an issue?
Look, I'm not the British government, I'm not sure, but
I don't know.
I would imagine they have some problems on their hands every day. It's just that that they need to prioritize because they still have only 24 hours in the day.
But prioritizing what? The only thing they seem to do...
Olympics or social housing? Olympics, social housing.
That was
we can get better PR
ago.
with the Olympics. Let's go with the Olympics.
But even right now, there's housing stock with mold and fire hazards. But there's socialized healthcare that's crumbling. I don't know what they are dealing with. Okay, I guess there's the Brexit, but the only things they seem to take care of are keeping taxes low for corporations and for wealthy foreigners putting money into British banks. Mm-hmm. Those are like their central concerns. So, and that's fine. That can be their concern.
Yep.
And as I said to you before, if you're going to pursue a policy or some kind of an objective, just be upfront with it and tell me that's what you're about. Don't lie and say land is...
But let's just skip forward one step.
Yeah.
So you already know that they are lying, right?
I do.
You say basically they are lying every time they open their mouths. All right, so what do you do next?
So you're saying, oh, I can go there and I can change and I can this and I can that.
Well, but don't you have any examples that would prove my point?
I can't think of that I've been able to change.
No. You have some, let's say, person in your neighborhood or some non-white person who's achieved some great things, even though he came from humble beginnings. Don't you have that somewhere? One in a million?
Okay, I'll try and think of
whatever.
So a black person who's came through.
Because it seems to me that's not a real class struggle. It's just an identity crisis when it comes to a multi-diverse group of people. I would guess that's more of it.
I mean, okay,
because we have even though you can see lots of similar looking people, we have the diversity of ethnicities, right? Some have their roots in Russia, some have their roots in Ukraine, some have their roots whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So, and they have their traditions, they have their religions with them. All of that comes, and sometimes you even hear as well, oh, just because he has that kind of religion or that kind of ethnicity, who would be unfavorably treated or whatever. But I guess it's always the same. If you are not always the winner in every social interaction, you feel that somebody's out to get you, right? And sometimes it might be even true. But then again, if you really are knowledgeable about those things, all right. So what, you just determine the options and go for them.
Why haven't I had or been able to quote similar experiences amongst you guys who are generically white as I did with English people?
Well, because it's not that obvious, I guess. Because visuals would be a little part of actually social or class struggle. Because Britain is famous for having a historical class system that didn't really care whether or not you was one ethnicity or one or the other.
Right.
It was more concerned about whether or not you are the aristocracy or some big industrialist or whatever.
Right.
So it's not really about... It's more of an economic issue than a social, cultural, visual, racial, whatever. It's not... It seems to me like it would be more of an economical issue. And because it was even, I think even in Athens it was that only voters were those with property, right? So most of the citizenry wasn't even allowed to vote because they didn't have any property, right? So switch 2000 years later, nothing really changed.
If I can think, you're saying of sort of a black person who's come through, so like we have, Britain has black politicians, like there's one I'm thinking of, David Lammy. He's always arguing with the police because he's saying that they search black youths, but black youths are constantly getting involved in knife crime with one another, and they could literally stab one another because, oh, you looked at me the wrong way, oh, you stepped on my 100-pound trainers, or oh, I live in this area and you live in that one, and now you've come into my area, so you've infringed on my territory, so I have to stab you. Yeah,
but that seems like the same kind of attitude as in, oh, you think you're better than us? right?
But to stab someone, no.
It's no. I mean the same kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Right. I mean it's not constructive.
Is it worthy to stab someone over?
No. I mean it's not constructive.
Yes, of course it's not constructive.
You can differentiate only by the
he
critical
continually
component.
bashes the London police for searching black youths. Does that make sense?
Well, because he feels that many times it's not warranted, right? Right?
Who's doing the stabbing? Is it Latvian boys?
I don't know. Seems like, according to the Daily Mail.
Well, no, it's black boys. Like, it is. Like, I'm not going to try and deny that.
But he has maybe some other motives. Maybe it looks better if a black politician defends always the black people.
Yeah, maybe I'll be. But maybe I can't defend stupidity. That's not me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that's your attitude, right, of having is it constructive, is it destructive, is it worthy?
How am I meant to fit into their ecosystem, whether this is English or black?
Well, I guess by proving that you're not the one who stabs with knives, and who doesn't think of you don't try to be better than anybody else or something.
I was trying to respond to your point. If there was someone I saw I think that was what the question was, in the black community.
But that wasn't the point that you look up to him, right? That wasn't
ideally, I could look up to him. He's earned a lot of money in his role, has some prestige.
Yeah, but you see a flaw with his thinking.
And a lot of other people in his bandwagon who are ethnic minority. So I can't really fit in with them either. So
sounds like you are racist, but then again, you are the same color. Then you're not racist.
Oh dear. I can't win here.
No, but in a sense, you clearly can see some flaws in his arguments.
Yes.
Right. But you can probably see because if it's true, it means he has another motive for doing that. And it might be that he thinks that his constituency wants him to do that kind of thing.
And the politicians do well out of what do they call it? Identity politics, I think it is. His constituent, the people who vote in his area are genuinely ethnic minority.
Yeah,
his voters are genuinely ethnic minority. So by defending the cause, they'll vote him back in. So that could be so.
And so the same happens over here as well.
Maybe,
but it's rather for, let's say, Latvian
and Russian speaking. Yeah. So it happens everywhere. But no, my point is, you're saying I should be able to function there and find people of my community or of the English community who I can interact with, get on with.
Yeah, because even though Britain has a lot of flaws,
yes,
I would argue that those flaws are some bird poop compared to what the flaws are in Eastern Europe and Russia.
Well, I'm not seeing. I've been around enough.
Yeah, that's
so. How long?
That's the question: whether or not you have done your due diligence, right?
Well, okay. Let's rewind. We spoke probably coming up to 2 hours ago about me going out, sometimes even in a pair of shorts in bloody winter, in your city from this centre district to the north, back to the middle, to the south, to the west, to the port, to the east, as far east as I could go before I'd end up in Daugavpils. I don't know where I went, and I didn't have any problems. Where else do I need to go? Do I need to start digging through the parks, to find something underground that I'm not supposed to see?
No, I would imagine you should try to just live a bit and live a sort of everyday life as you would do when you would be living here.
Oh gosh!
And then see what happens.
What have I been doing? Like I had my competition yesterday.
No, but
So in that instance, I was in arguably a safe space. No, in that there were Kazakhs there were Belarusians who literally got off their transport from the airport, went in a sports hall, and went back into their transport back to the airport and out of your country like that. So in their cases, they didn't see Latvia. They just went in the hall, had their event, and I've been here now. I was here during the Christmas New Year. I was here the Christmas and the New Year before. I don't have a minder. I mean, maybe I have this, I don't know, guardian Latvian over my shoulder when I'm walking down the street. I don't have a mum or a dad here or some kind of care. I don't know. I walk through your streets all the time.
That's not what I meant. I don't mean just physical security.
What am I missing then?
I mean economic welfare.
Right. So
you have the opportunities in England or Great Britain, as far as I can tell, should be at least 5 times more than you have here. Now, if you have the right attitude, the right drive, you can achieve lots of things, right? But with that same amount of passion and drive, you should be able to do at least 5 times as much in Great Britain. That's my thought.
You're not getting it. White skin color, black skin color, low social class. I'm not from the...
social class maybe, but when it comes to the skin... Look, if you would be a badass specialist at something, I don't imagine any company turning you down just because you are some color one or another. Oh, you're one of the best? We need one of the best, right?
Well...
I think it's, at least commercially, that's always the plan. In politics, maybe you wouldn't be able to go into... what's the biggest position? Prime Minister?
That's their political position.
Let's say Barack Obama was for the Americans, almost revolutionary, right? So in Great Britain, so it might be the Prime Minister, right?
Yeah.
If you could become the Prime Minister of Great Britain, then it would be something worthwhile, right?
But there's a chronology of these things. There always is. In Barack's case, he went to, I think it was Harvard and another university, but Harvard is
still probably people thought it's impossible for him to get elected.
But I'm saying even to go through the conventional system there. Oh wait, even just jump back to the English, it's the British system. Literally every British Prime Minister went through Oxford University.
So if I were you, I would try to get into Oxford University then, I guess.
But to get into Oxford University, candidates typically went to a number of schools, Eton, Harrow. Then you need to get into those schools. To get into those schools, they're typically waiting lists. So you need to get to the top of that waiting list. To get to the top of the waiting list, for argument's sake, it's academics. But typically it boils down to who you know.
All right, but that's already too much of a hassle. So can you just skip that route and actually just learn a profession, start working, and start building your career?
I maybe
after
all of
what's it, high school? Or
but
whatever?
I'm saying after all that stuff behind me, why would I start from scratch now? I don't, as I said, I don't feel like there was an emptiness behind my...
Well, because those people are still your closest people.
How? Maybe...
Because you at least are living side by side with them.
Well, they don't want me in their country, so...
Well, that's a shame if you feel like that.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine nowadays nobody really gives
in Latvia,
2 cents.
maybe.
2 cents about somebody being in their country or not. It's just that, we need something to be what's it called, enraged about, so let's just pick something that's closest to us. But other than that, people are occupied with their interests all day. People are just like cats with a laser pointer, right?
No, I don't know. So I'm saying
distracted. People are distracted.
So 2018, me saying I want to walk into a high flying job, like everything's chronological. You can't really just...
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah. If you would have after, I don't know, high school,
right?
Do you have some trade schools or something like that?
I was under state care till I was just about 18. There was a lot of, as I said to you much earlier, there was a lot of abuse there, and I'm still in some ways trying to get to grips with it. And that's
what I said. You need lots and lots of self-help injections in your veins directly. You need some addiction to self-help books. Do you listen or read books?
It does. I'd need some kinds of an official acknowledgement about what I went through to even begin, and even then it wouldn't be real, because it would have just been because I'd pressured for it. But I'm saying, just to move on, I can live here at an equal footing with everyone else, and whatever happened for it doesn't matter.
Do you mean psychologically?
Oh yeah, to feel like I can coexist. But as I said, And it's not even a case if I know I'm in a line at the store. Oh, this line's longer than that one. It's because I'm black. No, it's not. I'm just saying structurally to get ahead there. There are networks. There are criteria you need to fulfill to even at the very start of the race. If you never had them, there's a couple of outliers along the way who go against the odds. But even the ones who do, like I told you about that politician guy.
Well, but he doesn't sound very authentic.
No, or I mean athletes. I'm trying to think of again, and a lot of them, they will just jump on the racial issues because things didn't go their way. I don't get it. It's hard to explain. No, I just
the thing about me is that I don't think I'm too naive. I'm just maybe too simplistic in some instances.
Right.
But what I think of Great Britain is that yes, they had an old school type of government,
right?
With old school type of social classification, with a big stratification. We had that as well over here in Europe, right? But it wasn't so long and so ingrained. We had that for, I don't know, a couple hundred years. They had that probably more than almost 1,000 years, perhaps, right? Probably after the French dynasties went over there and established their first territories or whatever. So after that, all the peasants or whatever, they were the lowest social class, and they just stayed the lowest class, right? And then times moved on. They colonialized half of the world, right? So now they have different ethnicities. Same as with the Dutch people. But the Dutch didn't really hang on too much to their social structuring. I think the Dutch are the model you are looking for. A former colony, or a former, a kingdom with lots of colonies, and still having an economic power, and having that diverse group of people living in there, but organizing their ways in efficient ways.
So what you're saying?
I think the Dutch people are the best example of
society
that. Of the ability to change.
Society I'd thrive in better than I could in England.
Yeah,
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I've been there before, to Amsterdam, in Holland, but again, I saw the kind of English vibe there, and I didn't like it. Should I say what happened?
Yeah.
I went with a group of white guys from England actually to a bar, and I think I was about fourth in the line. He's like, yep, no, to me. And I was like, oh, what's up? Oh yeah, it's locals only. And I'm trying to think, locals, because these guys aren't Dutch. They're from, that's what you're talking about. And see, this is what annoys me, because if he just said, look, nigger, no niggers, I understand it, but you're trying to...
I guess that was what he was trying to say.
Well, of course it was.
So,
but if
you got the message.
If I got the message again, and if I had the message, like, and how can I explain it? I don't mind
being discriminated
against as long as you're blatant. So,
but it was blatant.
But no, because he used the English language, and that irritated me.
All right, but still, you got discriminated.
I did, but
so you got what you want. So you got what you want.
No. But it wasn't even so much that, as I said. It was like, oh no, I got discriminated against in the English way, where they try and pretend like everything's all cool, but it's not. And if you don't have any brain capacity,
but it's more polite to discriminate that way. Why can't you understand that it's more polite? They don't hurt your feelings, but still they get the result they want.
You insult my intelligence, so maybe...
Yeah, but it's less important than your feelings. Because imagine if they would do it blatantly, you maybe would get enraged and just totally don't understand the word anymore.
No, it probably it would be hurtful, but it's like no, because in England, as I said, because when you're telling me all this crap about they have human rights, they have democracy, they have this and that, it's because they mask all the crap that happens there so well that foreigners.
Look, I'm not saying that's the most effective system there could be. I'm saying that's one of the most effective systems there is.
Okay, but then I prefer my experiences around you guys, just the fraternity you have with all the other republics from the Soviet Union. You don't behave like that.
You should be a spokesperson for Latvians. For Latvia.
Okay.
You sell Latvia better than I could.
Better than balsams.
Better than I could.
Yeah.
Because well, it would be surprising that if Dutch people would still have some issues, but how could have? Because the Netherlands is full of different ethnicities.
Again, so to
It's
fulfill,
full of different ethnicities.
I don't know. So it could be. Think of another way to put this to you.
What
'cause
about
this is
Denmark?
frustrating. Why would I? I'm happy.
Oh, Sweden.
here.
Sweden.
Okay.
Sweden has more than 1/8
There's
of
I don't know
immigrants,
what
right?
the word. Have you heard? Is it virtue signaling? Is that the appropriate context to use it in?
Well, I know what virtue signaling is
Yeah.
supposed to mean.
But in my opinion, anyway, there's a major tug of war with all these liberal countries, whether it's Denmark, Sweden, Britain, Dutch, whatever.
You don't like the
So-
sugary attitudes, right?
I hate it. Oh,
The synthetic.
can I jump back to that tower
Behavior.
that burnt down again? So after it happened, all these wealthy English people from the centre of London came and started giving envelopes stuffed with money. Oh, those poor people who lost
Which
all
is
their stuff.
not that bad, I guess.
Well, I think it is bad, and I'll say
What?
why. For the longest time, people were existing in poverty in that district for the longest time,
Yeah.
and they just ignored them.
Yeah,
So
because they lived their lives like they lived there.
So it has to take for someone to basically some people to get burnt to death.
It's
the
always
others,
the case. It's always the case.
well, not in other places.
Come on, it's
Yeah.
always the case.
Okay. No,
The
it's not.
tragedy
Can I
has
say
happened
why?
for you.
I say why because Latvians have helped me in so many ways, and I've never even had to tell them a line of my life story.
And no British person has ever helped you. Huh?
I give you a funny example. And this is, yeah. So I was at my university halls of residence, and obviously because I'd come from care and I had to move my own stuff around, it was a real ball ache because the other kids, mums and dads, came with a van or a car or whatever. So I was one day tearing up my hair, saying, "Oh my gosh, I've got to deal with this. I have to. It's my, otherwise, like, yeah, I'm gonna be in trouble with the landlord. I have to move my own stuff." So this girl's like, "Oh, don't worry." English girl, I'll help you. My dad, he's got a 4x4, so in a big car, and I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. You've done me the biggest favor." So next morning, as we all have to vacate the house, I saw her clearing out her room with her dad, which I thought was a bit weird because it's like they've offered to help, but they're gonna help, so don't jump. Do you know? For example, if I say you're going to lend me your charger this evening, it's kind of a bit of a vague kind of timeline.
Yep.
So I'm going to get it from you, so I don't need to come and knock on your door and say, "Oh, so where's that charger?" Same kind of thing. So then, yeah, about an hour later, she's like, "Oh yeah, ready to get your stuff now." So bear in mind, I'm talking about 6 suitcases, maybe a bit more, but then I have a toaster and a microwave in my arms, so I'm just carrying that out the door, but I took it straight to the car because it was what was in my arms. And she's like, "Yeah, you can try and find some space." And I'm thinking, are you taking the piss? Basically, she
didn't know how much stuff you have.
Well, she knew because I was sorting through all my stuff the night before, and I was saying, "I've got so much more stuff than all you guys because this is like all my stuff." And she's a very intelligent girl, so she must, well, maybe she didn't know. Anyway, so the car.
Maybe she offered you help, but didn't want you to accept it.
But then
That's
why
the best kind of help.
offer it? I never asked her for the help, so don't even offer it if you're not sincere. Anyway,
was
I'm
polite.
just dragging it
It's
out. So
polite.
the whole car was packed. Like the rearview mirror, you couldn't even have seen the road. It was that packed. The only seat left would have been for her dad to drive her home. So I'm now there, and I'm like, oh, so because the thing is had she not have opened her flipping mouth in the first point, I would have thought, okay, I need to sort myself out because I've got 12 hours to vacate this house. But because she told me she was going to help, then I was like, oh, I've got some help now.
All right.
So anyway, so basically the car was full, right? It was packed. There was nowhere to put my stuff.
All right.
And then it was like, oh, okay. So just to
So she
utilize
offered
the
you-
help.
So she offered you the help, not knowing maybe that the car will be already full, because even though she's an intelligent girl, she's a girl and has not the spatial thinking that's required to actually evaluate the situation.
She did physics, and her dad was
That doesn't
a
count.
physicist, doctorate.
Yeah, but you didn't talk to her father before.
But her dad would have had a conversation with his daughter. But my point is when her dad got there in the first place,
Right.
the first thing to have done would have been like, let me help your friend with this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to come back and take your stuff and we go home. I mean, that's just if I had been in that other side of the equation. I mean,
All right.
yeah.
But did you ask the girl, why didn't you offer me help if you couldn't help me?
Okay, to get to the crux of it, I had those kinds of experiences all the time.
Yeah, but what's the reason? Did you ask her?
I didn't bother to, but I'm saying many times they
come
said,
on.
I'll help you with something.
All right. But if people are so polite to you and it turns out to be false politeness, why wouldn't you be actually polite in finding out? Like,
What is it? Okay,
But
yeah.
wait a second. Did you tell me that you will help me with my luggage? What happened with that?
No,
And then you leave her.
She said she was helping me, like she was staring me, like I'm staring you. Yeah, I'm going to help you. And I was like, oh, you're helping me.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
Oh,
Once
gosh.
you wanted the help,
Yeah.
and didn't get it from her, you should have asked her. Well, what didn't happen? What happened? What happened to your help? And then you at least could have seen what she would have replied to you.
Oh, gosh, maybe I could. I was irritated.
Yeah.
I was irritated, but
And you should have take that irritation and put it towards.
But what would it have
constructive
changed? Was she
responses.
said, "Okay, so I'm gonna unpack all my luggage from
No,
the car
maybe-
to the street."
Who knows what she would have told
But
you?
at that
But you
point,
should
no.
have- but
I'll
you
say
should
why.
have
Because
asked.
even
You should
if
have
she
asked.
had said, "Oh, I'm so bad. I promised to help and I've not. I'm gonna take," I would have said, "Don't bother. Just go home, enjoy your summer. See you around," and I would have stuck with myself. But I could think of a million other. Oh, shall I give you another example then?
All right.
Yeah, because it even compares beautifully with how you helped me. So I was at a nightclub with some English guys again. I didn't want to stay at their house. I had an offer, but I could feel they didn't like me. And when I say they, there was like a big group of them, and a girlfriend actually of one of the guys said, "No, we're going to stay with them, and tomorrow you and I are going to go back to our side of town," because they lived 10 kilometers that way and we were over here. I was like, you know what, I'll enjoy the night out with you and I'm going to catch the last bus home and leave it on a high. "No, man, stay, it's cool, you need to get that out of your head about people not liking you, like everything's fine, like
Yeah.
blah blah, we're going to
Sounds-
stay, you know."
Straightforward.
So I'm like, because I have this thing sometimes people call a hunch, you know, and when I don't listen to it, it always, like literally, it's always hurt me, you know, when I didn't listen. So I said, no, it's fine, but she kept persuading me. So I said, you know what, just ignore yourself, Ronald, and go back to theirs. Nightclub night over, we're heading back to theirs, and so I'm trying to think of the logistics because she's seen the guy, so they're going to probably go and have some action in their room. So I was meant to be staying in a sofa in the living room. Cool. We get home now. One of the housemates is picked up a girl from the club and he's in the living room. And she's like, "So go and sleep in Ben's room." And then with that moment, they ran up to the door, their room, and slammed it and got on with what they had to get on with. Use your imagination. And I'm standing here pointed in the direction of Ben's room over there, who I don't even know.
All right.
And then now the other guy shows up, Toby, and then the other guy shows up. "Yeah, so Ronald, what are you doing here?" "Yeah, so
I got
they
invited
said
to
that
stay.
I could stay at your house." But why would they say that for? They know they're not supposed, we're not allowed to have anyone in the house. Like, our landlord's really, really strict. And I was like, "Well, they
Sort it
told
out.
me."
Sort it out.
And he's like, "No, you see, the landlord, we could lose our tenancy over this. This is like really serious. We're not allowed to bring people back to
And
our
then you
house."
should say, talk to those who invited me.
I said they're having sex, so I don't want to interrupt them, but they've just left me here, and then they said go and stay in Ben's room, and then it's like, no, but they're like, you can't, you've really got to leave because you could get us thrown out in the morning if our landlord found out you were here. So I'm thinking to myself,
And so did the person who invited you to stay.
They were having sex.
Yeah.
They
But
were
did
there.
they afterwards find out what happened with you?
Basically,
Because they should have known
I left
what happened.
because I knew
and then
I wasn't
talk to the
wanted
dude.
there.
What did you tell him about the landlord?
But no, in the very first place, irrespective of what she would have had in terms of a conversation with him in the next day, I knew they didn't like me. They didn't tell me.
Even they
didn't
don't told you that to get that out of your head.
But they said that they were really, really sorry. We really, really want to help you, and we hate the fact we're having to throw you out because we really don't want to leave you stranded. But this is the grounds on which we have to do it.
Yeah, but you should have talked to the people who invited you, not the ones
They were having sex.
So whatever.
Go in the room and open the door.
Yeah, and whip your thing out and say, well, who's the biggest man in here? Right?
Oh, wow. Again,
dude, come on.
Yeah. Maybe I could have. But again,
if that situation arises where it's literally either you sleep on the couch or you don't know where you're staying, then of course.
I could have.
Then you go the French route through the window. That's the only solution at that point.
But see, the thing, I didn't want to be there in the first place. I'd been talked to, because I knew in the even if he had said, you know what, I'm going to deal with her in the morning for inviting you when we're not supposed to have you around, but stay anyway. I would have just been looking at the taxi company because I know I'm in a place and the person doesn't really want me there. Like if you're asleep, thinking of it kind of in a philosophical way, if you're asleep, you don't know what's going on around you, you're in an unconscious state, and these people really don't want. I mean, it would need to be like a hurricane outside for me to want to be in that environment.
Isn't it called being too self-conscious?
Maybe it is, but I'm saying the offer. Not that he relented and said stay anyway. But he said
no.
But
at that point when that dude comes here and says, "Oh, I hate to throw you out, but it's the policy," I said, "Shut the f up! I got invited. If you don't want me to be here, I don't care about your landlord. Talk to that dude who's having a hard on right now." And that's just like you're saying, in both those situations with the car and with this house thing, I should have just put the people who put you in a bad mood themselves by giving them the reciprocal need to actually justify themselves, right? Because otherwise you are too too nice in responding, because you got an offer, you accepted the offer, then something outside of your realm changed, but sort of made the offer not really
enough
eligible anymore. You're not to blame for that happenstance, right? So that's the reason for you to go, no, look, you are telling me the offer is not valuable. Explain why. Go talk. Go justify it a little bit more, because obviously you see my situation right now, right? Be a human.
See, no, being a human without disturbing them from their sex. I said to him,
that shouldn't be even a bothering
concern. Okay, maybe that's how you'd have dealt with it. I said my phone battery's almost at 0. I actually know other course mates, but that nightclub night ended half an hour ago, so by the time I get back to the row of shops, it's going to be dead. So
at the end of that, you left, right?
He's like, you have to go. I mean, maybe he would have called the police.
So did you talk to the dude who mingled during the time you left? Did you talk to him afterwards?
No. This is what happened. I went home and imagine I was walking down. You know how the road gets so dark with no lamps anymore, that's how dark it was. And then I found a payphone and I could call a taxi. And then I saw another guy who was stranded on that road, and I said to the driver, I have to stop and see what his story was. And he said he'd been to a club and a girl had said come back to mine, and then she'd thrown him out, and now he was stranded. So I said, I don't feel so foolish anymore. I went home, and then I spoke with my Spanish friend, and I was like, you see what I'm talking about? Because he was just as defensive as you were. And he's like, you know what, I get it. And he's like, yeah, I can see why you don't want to live in England anymore.
That would be healthy for you to live in Russia and get that mindset. Oh, look, if I'm having a problem, you're having a problem, my friend.
Oh,
that's all. No, because the Russian mentality is always that. No. I'm not going to have problems by myself. That's not the way I roll.
I was just picking him up because I could see clearly he needed a lift. But I was like, how did you even get in your...
And you know what a Russian would most likely or many times would say to that dude who comes here and says, no, we can't have the policy and stuff like that. Well, good. I talked to him. He invited me. That landlord thing, it's not my problem.
Yeah, it wasn't my problem.
That's about it.
But it wasn't my problem. But I'm in a house.
You are trying to be too polite in that situation. And you are arguing that the people are too politely rejecting you, right? So
well,
it's
no.
an irony.
If you hated me, I wouldn't want to stay here. I'd be like, oh my gosh, he hates me. So for example, you say.
But again, that's too self-conscious, man.
It's peace of mind.
No. You think, everybody's out to get me. Everybody's.
I'm trying here.
Those people are
if you said I could. So you say I could stay till tomorrow, but yesterday we had a falling out, and I'm like, oh well, I need to be with him till Monday because I've got nowhere to go, or maybe I do have somewhere to go, but would you still want someone to be around even though you're not getting along?
Look, when I had the Chinese dude, for instance, and he abruptly cut the interview, I was mad at him. And I told him, look, I'm not saying you should go into troubles because of me or anything. Yeah. But maybe let me know beforehand that you don't have something to share,
sure.
Right? Otherwise, why would you agree?
Right.
Oh, I thought, man, look. then I had to chat with him for a bit, and I basically told them that she shouldn't be. I did it politely, but I said he shouldn't be so paranoid.
Yeah.
Because I told him, look, I'm come from the Soviet Union, right? It was no walk in the park as well, but
I mean, only if he was potentially a high-ranking official of the Communist Party who was rivaling someone else, then he would be.
Because the point he cut me off was at the point where at one point I just started asking, well, wait a second, are you saying that there's only one party? Right? And then he just felt more and more uncomfortable.
Oh, no.
Wanted to deflect on some other issues. But I kept asking, well, wait. And then she said, can we take a break?
Oh, this is funny, but it's not funny.
Well, look, it's. I always think that many times it's. Yeah, of course, you have the experiences, you have the challenges you really have had in the past, but many times it's whether or not you let it affect your mindset, whether you'll let it, because at one point, because it's like the Pavlov's dogs, right? There is a breaking point, and once the breaking point is there, the psyche is difficult to what's it called, refurbish? Or, yeah,
I get it.
So I would imagine that's the concept that's more at stake than anything else. Of having the beat down, and then thinking, oh, it's just gonna be a beat down again. From here. Yeah.
But as I said, in Latvia, I didn't have these. I mean, I was afraid if someone said to me, "Oh, I'll host you," because I could have been afraid. You say, "Oh, I'll host you. I'm gonna be in bed, and so I'm gonna go to bed, but I'll leave the key out for you."
Well, that wouldn't be a beat down if that changed.
Well, no, because
everywhere something might happen.
If I had those experiences in England and then you just left me stranded, then I'd be like, oh man, everywhere's the same, and I just have to accept it.
But that would be just one illustration. It might be one occasion.
No, because
it's not representative of the whole.
It's not of Latvia, no. But I'm in a country where I don't speak the official language, which is Latvian. I don't know. That's not quite true because I knew Latvians before I knew you. But if this was the first interaction I've had, I've just had an unreliable action. I've got no grounds under which I can demand any fair treatment.
I asked you this already, but I really want to know: do you read or listen to self-help books?
I'm not gonna
I think you need some Anthony Robbins in your life, man.
I've heard the name, but so I'm just saying with these experiences, like I've had a funny experience. Oh gosh, where was it? I was in Yuglas Ezers, and I saw these guys, their card broken down, and They're like, oh, it's not fair. And I was like, what? Because I was just walking past. They're like, if you had a breakdown, everyone would be stopping here to help you right now. But we're Latvians, so no one wants to help us. We're just stranded. They needed this screw.
I didn't get
the
that.
the van, the car.
What?
We'd be stranded. We'd be helpless. So we're helpless. But if you had a problem, then Latvian people would help you because you're a foreigner. He said.
That's BS.
Well, let me finish. So I was like, what do I do? Because I feel bad now. To him, do I stay here and try and stop someone with my thumb? And it wasn't working, as it happens. It's like, no, enjoy your day. And we'll figure this out. Because there was 4 of them. They said someone was going to go and get this screw. I was coming back to town for New Year's. And it was already 1 a.m. in the morning. So I know your public transportation had already finished. And I went to the bus stop and knowing full well there was no bus. And then, you know, when you just look down the road as if you're expecting the bus to come, and then the car stopped. He's like, oh, can I help you get somewhere? And it was at the same place. These Latvian guys had been stranded for 2 hours in a day, and no one had helped them. So I called him and I was like, dude, no, I don't think I've even called. I need to call him and tell him, like, look, what happened? We're at the same place. They didn't help you. Someone pulled over immediately and said, can I take you to town?
Well, the night would be maybe a different situation.
More dangerous, I would think.
Yeah, and because you don't have any alternatives.
Well, no, for the driver. Whether or not I have an alternative, screw my alternatives. That's, you know, what's the word? It's my burden to carry. He's driving himself safely home, and now he's invited a stranger in his car. Could have a knife, you know. I could try and steal his car. I could steal his wallet. It's just generally speaking.
No, but look,
don't. Go ahead.
The common sense is that you definitely can see whether or not somebody is. Well, you more likely can tell that if somebody is a local or not. So maybe the ground idea would be, all right, if he's a foreigner, he's just trying to get some place. And that's
yes, but then that same, because he's a foreigner, he's automatically safe.
Yeah, because who would come with a passport here just to make trouble?
Oh gosh,
right.
Okay, let me just get my breath together. Sorry. All right.
What? What?
You make me laugh too much. Okay.
It has a logic to it.
Yeah, I'm just composing myself. All right.
You've got to admit that.
I've actually forgotten what I wanted to say. Alright, yeah, Rosie. Anyway, so there was that time he helped me. Moving on. Then I was coming from the airport another time, and then the bus had already driven into town. When I was coming here, and then I saw this guy, and I think it was his daughter, bring her home from the airport. Oh, can you take me to town? Yeah, sure, no problem. Then I felt really awful. It was in Christmas. I had no what do you call it? Bank card. I needed to order a bank card, and you know how long it takes to get the new one, especially with Christmas days in the middle. So I had no money in basic terms. So I was in bars and people was buying me drinks. Then I was in another bars, people buying me drinks. Then someone took me to the restaurant. Then what else? Oh gosh. I was going in the gym in People Fitness, and it was oversubscribed. They had no more, what's the word? No more capacity. They couldn't have any more people. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, "Oh, don't worry, we let you in for free." And then for 3 days, I went there for free. I went in the cafe. I didn't have any money, and she said, "Oh, pay me back whenever. Doesn't really matter." But no, just literally from one situation to another, everyone's helping me like that.
All right.
Yeah.
But
so what?
Don't think for 1 second that Latvians are better than British people.
Oh gosh. Well, you'll have to persuade someone else about that, because you're not persuading me.
Because, well, look, I'm not even trying to, but in the sense, everybody is human.
Yeah, but generally, you know, if I say to a friend, like the only time, and because I had a friend who was going to host me, and then she let me down, and this is why you hosted me, but I 100% agree with the reason she let me down. Should I tell you what happened?
About the phone?
The phone? No,
That somebody tried to kill the guy or something.
Yeah, someone. So she had a homeless Latvian guy. He'd been released from prison and he had nowhere to go. And she took him in the house just like someone in her family.
Yeah.
And everything seemed okay, but he left the phone on the table and she saw he was trying to kill her husband and steal the money.
And was it just written in an SMS text or whatever?
Between him and a friend, the guy, and it was a long conversation they were planning.
What an idiot.
So, well...
So did she report him to the police?
I don't know. Well, in any case, she threw him out. And at that moment in time, she's kind of feeling very fragile. And the whole time he lived with her, the husband, was telling her, I don't like that guy, you need to get him out of the house. And she kept defending him, saying, no, he's fine. So I don't know if she's having marriage problems or anything because of this guy now. But so in the end, she didn't. And you know what she honestly said? She said, if you're on the street, then I can't accept that. I need to know you can come and stay here. But the nuance in her head, I could see that it wouldn't be the best time to try and ask her to help me because that's really fucked up situation. But as I'm saying, so people here, and then last night I was coming back from Silas Pills, lady straight away said she'd drive me back. Like everybody, the whole city, it was helping me. It's just...
Well, if you would ask me, it's just that you have the exotic green card or wild card, right? You're exotic.
But even...
If you would look like an Uzbeki, not that much. I would guess.
So, but then I don't want to play that card. It's not... I hate playing because I could, but then it would worry me in the sense that someone needs to rely on that card and they've got nothing else to say for themselves. And it was never my intention to have that path, if you know what I mean. So I have to think of my own way in which I could be self-sufficient.
I'm telling you, dude, to get to your 2.0 version, right? You need some Tony Robbins in your life.
Read that book.
Just because you probably have a phone, you can just
but no, I mean,
listen
in
to
terms of,
an audiobook. Trust me on this one. If you get a good self-help audiobook, so nice.
But no, I mean, in terms of practical terms, why could I not do sports coaching here?
Oh no, you can do it.
See?
It's just that you wouldn't earn as much as you would in Britain.
When has money ever been on my priority list in this conversation?
Every time, I would say.
Well, in the sense...
Because you are saying that the opportunity, which means also the economic opportunity, is not there for you.
Yeah. So I find it here. Well, no, there was... That would be a lie to say there's no economic opportunities. It is possible to find work in England, always. Yeah. Right. Whether it's the work you actually want, that's a different story.
Oh, that's some higher level thinking.
Yeah,
if I want it.
My point is irrespective of whether I found work there, I don't feel I belong.
And that's yeah. Talk to me after Tony. Talk to me about this after Tony. After you've listened to Tony.
Why would I try and rebuild things there when I could just live here and not have any of that baggage? Because I don't know how I could forget that crap. I haven't even gone into half of it with you.
May I suggest some LSD or some ecstasy?
See,
might shorten the...
I don't mind drugs in that. I don't use them, but I think if people want to use them and it's in their own personal space, that's their choice. Yeah. But I think if you have mental health issues or insecurities and then you turn to the drugs, then it's an absolute disaster.
Except when it's ecstasy.
I don't know. I just wouldn't touch it anyway.
That's what the literature says. That's what people who use it says.
Right.
It just cuts short all of your insecurities, but it leaves you with the best mindset available.
I don't know if I would touch it.
And it might lead you to getting new tattoos and dyeing your hair.
Yeah.
But other than that, seems fine.
I don't know. But from what it sounds like, you still think me choosing to live in Latvia would be less...
For you, not for the Latvians, but for you.
For me? How?
Well, because again, look, you say you don't have so much opportunity there as here, right? I would disagree, even not knowing your circumstances. Right?
You judge me by my character. You don't judge me by my skin color or my money. That's already miles ahead.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with opportunities.
Well, there's an opportunity.
Economic opportunities.
Yeah, it's nothing a completely separate point, but it would outweigh any economic disadvantages I could face.
Nah. Again, I think you're just polite.
Money.
What would happen if you would go in Britain and at one point or another say, "No, I want that"?
I try and avoid those kinds of. Okay, I know in England,
just being uncomfortable at times when it's the appropriate amount of uncomfortableness.
All right, I'll put it to you a different way.
For those other persons,
there are a lot of people in England. We have these, or they. We would imply that I feel included. Mm. They have these fancy nightclubs in the centre of London. They are charging. People could spend £10,000 a night there. Like that. Yep. That would be 10,000 euros. Just so they'd come to this nightclub in this Gucci or in this Prada, whatever they're wearing, in this lovely car, and they'd buy all this champagne and vodka. Let everyone in the bar see their diamonds, and you know what?
That's just silly.
Really, they have nothing at home, and they've got bills to the energy company, to the water company, to the landlord, you name it. But just that 1 hour to go in that club and be seen by her and him, it's worth it.
Do you know real examples of that?
Many. Oh my gosh.
Well, then that's just
too many.
Look, but then that's just that those persons don't have a sophisticated mind. That's it.
But that is what I think people like them would struggle here. Because I don't see a culture here of, look at me.
If they can have 10 grand, I'm not sure they would struggle here.
No, I mean the mentality to be like, look at him, like, or look at her, or I've got this iPhone and it's got some diamonds on the corners and it glows in the dark and his one doesn't.
Yeah, because the stakes are lower here.
But no, I'm saying there, that kind of thing is huge. Like it's everywhere in everything. But
you don't have to do that if you don't like.
But I'm saying for someone who cared about that, I would struggle here because I wouldn't be able to thrive or behave like that because it just wouldn't get me anywhere.
You could behave like that here as well. It's just that the competition for that behavior is not so big.
No, because I don't know about Latvia, but the Russian wealthy, they went to London to do it in London. Maybe some of them are doing it in Russia. I've not been there to know. But I'm saying that mentality, it's Western.
Not really. Moscow does as well.
Maybe
it's just that they have... Look, those really, really wealthy Moscow people... They don't really party in Moscow that much, right? But those who do stay in Moscow and party, yeah, of course, they show off.
We're talking about Riga now, or Latvia. We're not talking about Moscow. So I'm saying I couldn't would be extrapolate. Yeah, I couldn't apply what I feel about Latvia to Russia because that would just be strange. But I can't see. You're still not showing me a way in which me being in Latvia would be to my disadvantage.
Well, I'm not saying it would be to a disadvantage in a short term prospect, but in a long term, it would be like starting a new life, which is cumbersome.
Well, it's cumbersome remaining in England. For me, I think it's cumbersome.
Which is something I cannot imagine is even possible.
Very few can.
And after you have listened to Tony Robbins, I think you would agree.
I still can't see. I'm sure you must be on some kind of affiliate program with this guy, because I can't see.
I should be.
Yeah, you should. There's less effort for me to put my resources into living here than it is to read that book, because it would take me a while. And
no, but you should just listen to it. It would take you, I don't know, 4 to 8 hours.
How about then me living here and then reading that book while I'm here?
Yeah.
Okay,
sounds fine.
So it's compromise.
Not even a compromise. It's exactly what I told you.
Okay.
just you could be anywhere. Just listen to the book.
I just felt like you were saying that in London, that if I read it there, I'd be like, oh, great.
Oh, no, it doesn't really matter where you are.
Yeah, no. What I feel you was trying to say before is
what matters is that you have that that stimulus, right, of those books in you. That's about it.
Right.
What you do with the stimulus, it's up to you.
Myself. But from what your implication is, if I lived in London, I could read that book and then I'd suddenly have no more insecurities there.
Yeah, and after a while you might be inclined to go for $10,000 clubs and Gucci's.
Hell fucking no. If I did,
because you could afford those.
I don't know.
How about that?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how in a different way. I worked in this financial district, city of London, and then it's just this. It's
the capital of the world, isn't it?
Right. So there's these guys drinking. One of the managing partners of the firm.
Wait a second. How come you are telling me that you are so disadvantaged, and then you come to tell me that you worked in the city of London?
I haven't finished my point.
All right.
Okay. He's drinking his coffee with his other guy in the whatever area, the coffee area, and he's like, "Yeah, I've just bought my 10th house." He's telling the other guy, and it really irritated me because it's like, if you have that 10 house, why are you not on Skype or on the video cam telling us from the house, I'm in my 10th house? But you'd come in here to work every day from the early morning till the end of the day, and then the same tomorrow and the same tomorrow after that. Because clearly in my head, next week or next month, you want to stand in that same spot and say, I've just bought my 11th house, then my 12th house.
And you know what the proper response from you would have been? Have you listened to Tony Robbins?
Yeah.
I would guess he has.
Maybe he really did.
Seriously.
But my point is just in that lifestyle, people make a lot of money. No question. They make a lot of money, but it's like, and I've just bought this £10,000 watch. Yeah, and I've just spent £40,000 on this blah 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 bracelet.
Yeah, but it's a nice chat, if you would ask me. Sounds like a nice, decent chat.
And no, because
look, I have so much money, I need to spend it on this and that.
Yeah, but then
it's a nice problem.
Me being as an outsider and other people as an outsider are like, I want to make that kind of money. But for some of the other guys, but I'm like, you're just making that money. Not because you even really like this item or you need the item, you're just making it to stand here and argue with him and see who can win the argument.
All right, but still quite nice.
If it's your thing. Yeah. Like if it's your, mentality. But maybe I could be converted to...
So how did you get to be next to those two dudes?
So you can, as any young people... go to any of these sales trading places and try and climb the ranks. Like, it's not that hard. Very few people make it because they're not keeping you in the office because they like you. It's because you're a good performer, and I sucked, so I didn't last. But what I would say about it is
sales, specifically sales. What was the position?
It was in foreign exchange. So most people on the street think of foreign exchange as just them going to the airport and buying euros or
you mean
dollars.
Forex, right?
Yeah, for the holiday. But corporate foreign exchange, when big companies, Ryanair, for example, are buying dollar to buy oil, if you're their trader making the purchase of the oil, in the multi-millions of dollars, you're earning a cut of the trade. Simple, just how any trade works. But I'm saying the guys who pick up these big clients, whether it's, Air Baltic, any big clients, you're making good money. But it takes a lot of time to get to where they're at. And by the time they get there, maybe at the start it was just about having enough money to pay the university debts and then to afford private healthcare, and then to send their child to private school, and then to buy a house. But in the long run, it just becomes, I earn more money than him, I need a bigger bonus this year, I need this and that, and just extravagance. And yes,
it's a good problem to have.
I'm never going to say it's a bad one compared to thinking I'm starving or my child is dying of malaria and I haven't got money. But I wouldn't want to pursue that kind of a problem in the expense of just living here and not having any of the discrimination. Because maybe I could.
If you would have that kind of money, would you feel that you would still face that type of discrimination in Britain?
I would feel like, okay, I have money
People
now.
You have a rollie on.
Yeah, I have money now.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Hello?
there would be, and I'm like, okay, what if tomorrow this all went away? What would happen?
I'm not sure you would be so philosophical at that point.
I've had too much time to think, so I don't think that side of me would ever leave now.
Yeah, it won't.
Why
Should it go? Yeah.
See, so I mean, there are people there. When I say there, I just mean out there. Yeah, who are doing well over there, but I wouldn't want to be around them. Even if you said to me now, yeah, we're sorry for all the abuse or the racism.
Extract the best of them and leave the rest with them. That's about it.
I just leave them all there and I live with you guys. But I don't...
Bring some money with you. Bring some Forex money with you.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, obviously I can't get off a plane and suddenly expect...
Or get back to that dude and say, oh, look, these prices are much lower for houses in Latvia.
In Latvia, yeah. Oh, no, I mean,
dudes.
it would be nice to think I'd just get off a plane and just hold my hand out. Because, funny enough, I was in Uglas Ezers. You know what this Estonian lady asked me?
No.
What did she say? Are you a refugee?
And
I was like,
logical question.
I kind of am. No, it takes some explaining.
Well, you are a migrant, but not a refugee.
I am fleeing some kind of persecution. So yeah, it takes some explaining, but yeah, I kind of am. But obviously realistically, I need to think of a way to just be financially solvent moving over here. But that's even another problem about London, and this is affecting everybody apart from those at the top, is they can't even live day to day.
What do you mean?
So we have this program now they have this program called the Food Bank. The Food Bank is where local churches and community centres are giving out food parcels. And once upon a time was for people sleeping in the bus station or in the street, but now people over the city or even the country, are going into the food banks to ask for some tinned food. So
we have the same. I think we have the same still.
You have that excuse where you can say we're an Eastern European country and we are developing economy.
We didn't really need an excuse. I think I would find some
even
flour or something like that even still.
Well, I'm saying okay, I'll address it a different way. You were saying to me before about UK being this massive economy and la 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 la.
There's always going to be some some short end for some people, right?
But in England,
so you need to catch the net who catches those.
In England, it's growing. That thing's growing. It used to be.
It might be growing everywhere.
Well, no,
right? All over the world.
Should it be growing in a country like the UK?
No.
See, that's my point.
But with people like you going out of the country, it will, because you couldn't make a revolution if you're not there. If you would be there, then you say, look, I'm badass at North Korean Taekwondo. You better watch out, Prime Minister.
She has a system.
It's about to get real.
Her friends, her royal family, and all the people in there have that system. Just leave them to it. And even if there was a revolution, grounds for a revolution, there needs to be a lot of people on a common agenda, and there's not.
Well,
there's all these different
maybe it's
ideas.
just a matter of time.
But I just think if there was some kind of a revolution or something, it would just be people running into the stores.
Maybe uniting all the Taekwondo championships could spark the revolution. Imagine that. That would be so crazy.
Their goal would just be, in some ways unification, but for the purposes of boosting the profile of the martial arts sport. Yeah. And they'd probably be a bit peeved if you said sport, martial art.
Really?
Yeah, they don't. Maybe you can call it a sport if you like, but yeah.
Well, if it's in the Olympics, it's a sport, right?
Yeah, so this is probably why they don't like being in the Olympics. They do like not being in the Olympics because I've never heard any of the instructors I've spoken to call it a sport. But they say it's bigger than the sport. But just
because it has a philosophy attached to it.
Yeah,
I guess.
this is why. The UK, the only way people had a revolution there was this is the recent times anyway, was by running into the stores and stealing big TVs and laptops. You know, if you saw in the news about 7 years ago.
No.
In East London, a guy was shot by the police, and then the family and his friends were like, "Oh, he was a good guy. Why is the police killing this guy?" The police said they found a gun in his car, and that he was clearing the way to shoot someone.
Yeah.
And the family's only technical defense was he didn't have the gun in his hand when the police shot him, so they shouldn't have shot him. But anyway, that was enough grounds for everyone to start burning up the streets and stores, and then it spread like wildfire across London. But the people who copied it were only doing it to steal expensive shoes and TVs from the store.
Oh well, that happens everywhere.
But no, in other countries, France.
What's it called? Rioting. And what's it called?
Looting.
Looting.
Yeah, but in France, when people are on strike there, it's because they want cheaper fuel for the lorry drivers. You know, I can see a political reasoning behind what they've done. But in London, when the police or journalists asked people what they were doing, it's fun. Like, we're just out having some party time.
Which it is.
But I don't really see any urge there or hunger for genuine redistribution. It would only ever be
because it would take more effort than they are willing to give.
But I always
imagine if you would have to do it like some Jewish dynasty, right?
Yeah.
By setting the 4 first steps now, thinking that all right, your sons and your grandsons will do the rest, then it will be too much. People just live for the moment.
Maybe.
YOLO, man. YOLO.
I mean, so long as people are, what is the word I'm after? Thinking of the next day, you know, today, tomorrow, the day after. Because, like, some people say when Gorbachev did the perestroika, it was badly thought out because he started a change and he didn't think about what it would cause people to do.
Well, it didn't bring any worse situation than before.
Well, he made people more aware of the wealth gap between United States and USSR. Because in the Stalin time, at least, it was about the same. So if people were going to collapse the Soviet system, it would have been for political freedoms, not really for economic freedoms. But by the end, 91, there was a clear imbalance between the economy of the West and my point is he made that all the more possible, you see. And if he done
might be
that
he accelerated it, I don't know.
Most people agree that his handling, he gave freedoms to like the Eastern European countries with this Iron Curtain thing. He didn't repress them when they tried to break out of it. And then it just set the ball rolling for everyone.
Which is not a bad thing.
Oh yeah, you say that as a Latvian, but for people who want the Soviet Union, then they feel upset it's gone now.
Some of them for sure. But again, I mean, you will always have some people who are quite afraid of change. Irrespective whether or not it's even good for them.
Yeah.
It's just that the psychology has to shift. And it's difficult sometimes. That's why I think that after you'll get into the self-help book thing, you'll have the Gorbachev to the power of 10 mindset. Accelerating all the possibilities.
The last book I was reading properly was a Stalin book.
Why?
So I just thought it was interesting.
Was it?
Yeah, I didn't finish reading it yet though, because I was like, I don't want to get to the end of it. So it was really interesting.
Yeah. I guess we can agree on that. Reading books is valuable.
gonna say
It's been 3 hours. If you want, we can make the finishing touches, and that's about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've covered a lot of themes.
Yeah, it was fairly interesting. I would imagine that you would still have many stories of you being discriminated.
Yeah.
Which I would still continue to say, just listen to some Tony Robbins, and then be unpolite at the right situations, and then see what happens. And then it would be a blast if I would see you 2 years from now, and then you'll just, I bought this Rolex the other day, and but it turns out that it doesn't really fit my new house, right?
Maybe, maybe, that sounds like a plan.
And do you know the next time you will be in Latvia?
I can't be sure. I can't be sure. No, I don't know what will bring me back. Like in terms of this competition was being held at a certain date, so I knew I had to be here at a certain date. Yeah. But it could be something spontaneous a following time, I suspect.
So when would you be interested in coming to actually do the things you said? Just leave the
Good question.
UK.
I've set a plan that I won't be there beyond the end of this year. I said during 2018. Mm-hmm. The only thing, and that sounds a bit kind of what's the word? Vague in terms of I kind of need to be there to fulfill, is this application to the human rights, European Court of Human Rights. But even then, it could communicate with me through a new address. But there are some logistical things I might have to take care of from that side in relation to that. But otherwise, I mean, I actually leave my job tomorrow. I'm going to go in there and resign.
Where are you working?
I'm a sports coach in a leisure centre in East London. And I'm annoyed because I'm going to be taken for disciplinary next week. And I just don't have the time to hear what I'm going to be complained at about. Because it's this thing about power imbalance again. I've got plenty of things I'd love to complain about. But I haven't got a mechanism to take my managers on the disciplinary. It's only something they can do in me. So on that basis...
Your managers?
Yeah, because...
you have managers.
That in any organization there's a hierarchy. Yeah. So obviously, if there's a performance issue with a lower worker, it can be challenged from above. But if you have a problem with something from above, it just makes more sense to leave because you can't really change that.
Well, at least you should pinpoint why you leave.
Yeah, of course.
So they know what was the case.
Then it's kind of the time to say something. But it'd be quite foolish to expect to have any long-term prospects in a place if you're going to challenge it from beneath. So from above, what I do
this all the time. I can help myself.
Yeah.
I just think that I know what a system looks like when it's too complacent, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
So if I have to risk with some salary or something like that, so be it.
So be it. Yeah. That's it.
All right. What are the keywords? Don't compromise too much.
Yeah.
Man.
Sounds good.
Go on.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.